just getting older. And hopefully wealthier. Grab a beverage. Today, we're going to be talking about it's okay to be broke at 29, but not 59. Just relax, and enjoy the show. So again, today, Monday, February 3rd, we will be talking about it's okay if you're around 29 years old. It's okay to be broke, but not as you get older. When we come back on Wednesday, I want to share with you guys a new plan I have for the money that I have accumulated since I was broke at 40, and now I'm actually 59. By the time you watch this, I will be 59. I'll talk more about that here in just a moment. But I think it's an interesting new plan that I want to share with you. Because what happens as you get older and you get wiser and you start to accumulate money, you will get to a point where you decide to quit your job and to retire. And you can look at your money in so many different ways. There's so many options. And so I want to share with you a new idea I have for thinking about my money. And on Friday, when we come back, I want to talk through the 3 habits of millionaires. And I will give you my thoughts on each of the 3 habits. So be sure to come back not only on Wednesday, but also on Friday as well. You know, it's still cold here in Florida. Yeah, I know some of you laugh at me because you're like, Evan, it's not that cold. I live up north. It's like 20 degrees or 10 degrees, so I completely get that. But it has been, in more recent weeks, it has been really cold here. I don't know. So what was I thinking when I thought I was going to move up north? What's up with that? Not so sure at this point. But, again, today is Monday, February 3rd. I'm actually recording this a couple weeks prior to the 3rd. I'm trying to get ahead on my episodes, partly because right now I'm on a cruise, and I'm calling it my Freedom Cruise for retiring early. So if you guys are new to my channel, you may not know that I did retire on January 10th of 2025 after having the goal to go into early retirement since I turned 40. My salary range within that time frame was about $40,000 in 2006 to about $120,000 in 2024. Just to give you an idea of the range of income that I had, it was always a slow, gradual increase of money every single year. So it's not like I was making $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And my net worth currently is about $1.6 million. And I decided to call it quits and practice what I preach. And I'm not regretting it at all. It's only been a week, of course, at the time that I'm recording this. And I just have to say, before we get started, I had a little setback and so I haven't been able to walk as much as I would like right now or swim laps, and so a little bit of a bummer. So I feel a little bit like I'm set back. I wanted to jump into that. I got one good workout in, and then I had this procedure, so I've been limping around, but it'll all be fine. I'm getting better as we speak. And as I mentioned, I'm currently on a cruise right now as you are viewing this. And again, I'm calling it my Freedom Cruise. It was a cruise, a 5-day cruise that I decided to buy, to kind of just let go, right? I had never spent too much money on vacations through the years. Some of you know by watching my previous episodes, I have never spent more than about $650 on any one vacation. And so this one is turning out to be about $1,000, maybe a little bit more. But I felt like, you know what, Evan, you've got to treat yourself and get used to spending money rather than continually saving it, because I know that for many of you, if you found my channel, you are probably the same. You're probably wanting to pursue perhaps financial independence, and you have had or will have many years where you're consciously trying to keep your expenses down, and by doing so, you can then, segue into a position of having work be optional, and that I think is where we should all be, which leads me into the content really of today's episode, which is I wanted to talk to you guys about it is okay to be broke in your 20s if you are in your 20s right now, or even if you're in your early 30s or even 40. You have to look at these years that you are maybe just getting by, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to look at the years as a learning ground to practice frugality and to practice for when that suddenly turns in your favor, where you are no longer surviving. I survived in my 20s, all the way in my 30s, and it wasn't until about age 40 that I finally had enough money to save and invest, and that's what I call surviving. Surviving to me is just paying my bills, having a little bit of fun on the side, not really spending too much money, but not really having too much to save or invest either. I may have had a small emergency fund, that's fine, but I didn't really have the capacity or the shovel to really make a big dent in, putting money into my 401k more than the 6% the company match. I wasn't able to do a Roth IRA. I wasn't able to do a taxable account. So all of those things were still way off into the future. And so your survival years right now are where you learn the skill sets to keep employed, or to keep deployed, I should say. You want to keep employed as well. You got to have a job, right? You have to have income coming in. But you want to deploy and keep those skill sets in place, even though you will start making more money. So again, it's okay to be broke at 29. It's okay to be broke at 39. But when you get into your 40s, if you haven't really figured out money quite yet, I like to refer to this as make it or break it time. Make it or break it time. Make it or break it time. So, as you're listening to me ramble about money, each of you should be thinking about, where do you live right now? And I don't mean physically speaking. I mean, where do you live in terms of surviving versus thriving? And thriving is when you have money to save, and more importantly, to invest, because as those years then go by, when you're in your 40s, trust me, you're going to start thinking about, especially as you get into your 50s, do you want to continue the grind? Do you want to continue to work as much as you are, whether that be gig work or whatever it is you're doing? Some of you may have real professional jobs, some of you may not. All of us are out there just trying to make a living. And you want to be able to care for yourself and your family when you get older. You have to look at that as being more important than any possessions you could possess at this time in your life. Because again, as you get into your older years, you definitely do not want to look back and say, I wish I would have done something. So let me segue into the part of the episode where I wanted to talk about, like, what if maybe I did not wake up when I did? So I woke up at age 40 and said, Evan, you're broke. And it actually happened a few years prior at age 37 when I was in the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington, looking out over Mount Rainier. And I had that aha moment where I was like, Evan, you are broke. You're going to have to go figure this out. You're going to have to learn what personal finance is. You're going to have to be financially literate. So I started studying. I was like, what's a CD? I had no idea. A certificate of deposit. I remember asking people at work, what's a CD? I had no clue. So part of that education is going to be up to you. It's going to be up to you. There are resources everywhere. There are resources on the internet. There's podcasts. There's YouTube channels like this. You know, you can get into Dave Ramsey. You can get into Susie Orman like I did. There are tons of people. What's his name? Ramit Sethi, I think. And then there's another guy on YouTube, which is an Indian guy, and he's really good as well. So educate yourself and make sure that you don't make those mistakes when you're older. So again, I wanted to share with you in this part of the episode, like, what if right now on Monday, February 3rd, a day after my birthday, by the way, what if I did not do what I did? Would I be even talking about it right now on a YouTube channel? Probably not, because I'd be embarrassed. I would be so embarrassed that I was still broke and I had a bunch of debt and I didn't plan well. I would not be on my freedom cruise right now looking out at the water and pontificating, is that a word? Pontificating and pondering my life and wondering what I want the rest of 2025 to look like, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm so excited that, you know, over these past several weeks I've been able to decompress a little bit. I'm still working on it. It's going to take some time. You know, after working for 34 years, you can't just simply let that go. You have to give yourself that time to decompress, and I'm in that phase right now. Like, honestly, I have no idea what I want to do other than the things I've shared with you, like, you know, working out, swimming laps, becoming the best personal self that I can be, you know, being the best shape that I can be, not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of those things. You know, you don't want to quit your job and have your mind to go, and you don't also want your body to go either. I feel like if I would have continued working in the same path that I was going, sitting at this desk 8 to 10 hours a day, I was really finding it hard to continue my workouts and continue to be physically fit. It was really weighing on me heavily. I was not bouncing back as quickly as I did in the previous 5 years. So now, physical fitness is taking a number one priority. Like I shared with you, I'm making sure that my job now is working out. I have to be at the gym. I have to pretend like somebody's going to fire me if I don't go. Now, like I said, I just had that little setback with my foot. Unfortunately. But I plan on, after I get back from the cruise, you know, getting back on that and being 100% accountable for myself. So I would not be on the cruise right now. I would not be producing this YouTube channel right now if I did not get smart, if I was broke at 59. So what would my life look like right now? Well, again, again, I just turned 59, so I would probably have a mortgage. You know, if I didn't get smart with money, I wouldn't have stayed in this place, this 600 square foot condo. Oh, heck no. I would have upgraded to like a 2 or 3 bedroom place. I would have been paying a mortgage right now. The mortgage would probably be $200,000 to $300,000, if not more. I was making a lot of money. Towards the end of my career over the past 10 years, I could have afforded a really expensive place, but right now, today, on Monday, February 3rd, if I did not get smart, I would be paying, who knows, $2,000 to $2,500 a month in a mortgage. There would be no end in sight. I would have had to continue to work. I wouldn't even have any capacity to see past the debt that I would have created from the mortgage. I would probably have tons of credit card debt. You know, you guys know, when I was younger, I ran up my credit cards to 40 grand, had a bankruptcy. What if I did not learn from that bankruptcy? What if I kept spending? Because issuers of credit card companies will continue to give you credit cards, and I could be, using those, making minimum payments, and still being up to my eyeballs in debt at age 59. That could have been me. That is the majority of people out there that are my age. Nobody talks about this, but they're in debt up to their eyeballs. And something I haven't really shared with you that I'll share with you right now is that in my career path, I did training, and I trained clients. The topic was centered around financial topics, not personal finance, but it was around, credit cards and all that kind of thing. And it's almost like I have a little bit of what's called cognitive dissonance, where I was training a topic, and yet it's not like I really believed in what I was training. Like with this channel, 100%. I believe in what I'm sharing with you and what I'm teaching people, especially young people. And it's okay that I fell into that career path, and I'm very thankful for it. And yet, I don't believe that most people have the capacity to manage credit cards very well, myself included, up until the bankruptcy. After the bankruptcy, I could manage my credit card very well. I would put something on it and pay it off at the end of the month. Or, as you guys know, I also have a 0% credit card, so I'm able to manage that. I have really strong willpower when it comes to managing what I put on that credit card, unlike other people that do not have that capacity. That might be you, it might be your friends, it might be your neighbors, it might be your parents, it might be your brothers, your sisters. A lot of people just spend and spend and spend, and like me, when I was younger, they open up their statements and they say, wow, I can't believe I spent that much. And there was this thing called the Credit Card Act of 2009. I'll never forget it because it was very significant in the career path that I was in. And that is where issuers, like credit card companies, banks, etc., had to make sure they gave 45-day notice if they were going to change an interest rate, or they had to allow people to opt out if they were changing interest rates, because issuers were doing really, really crazy things, as you may know. And then the government came in and said, stop, we're not going to do that anymore. And they put the reins on, or the constriction, I guess, on issuers so they could not, participate in faulty practices from a lending perspective. And so I learned all of that throughout my career. And yet I was, training those topics in it. So it was a little bit of a cognitive dissonance and irony, complete irony, in that I don't believe in debt for myself. I know a lot of people can leverage debt to build wealth. That's just not me. That might be you. And that's okay. I don't really judge anybody for their tactics as long as it works in terms of, can they build wealth and if it's ethical, right? So there's more than one way to build wealth. But again, what would my life look like right now? Well, I'd have that mortgage. I would not be smart with money. I'd have a bunch of credit card debt. And I would be sitting here today not even thinking about ever retiring. I wouldn't even be thinking about it. I would probably have to work until 67 or 70, which is another 10, 11 years away. And so suddenly now, however, I have 10 or 11 years of freedom. Now, that freedom does come with a price in that I did not get to 5 million. I did not get to 10 million. So it's not like I'm super rich by any means. I have to manage the money, and I will share with you over these subsequent episodes as we go on how well I'm managing that 1.6 million. Now remember, 1.6 is a net worth. So the amount of money really is about 1.4. And again, I'll share with you this week, coming up on Wednesday, a new plan for my money that I do have, a new way of thinking about the different buckets that you have. Not really pre and post tax, but just, how you visualize the money that you've created and how you now segue into spending it down, but while always looking to see, how well the market did at the same time. So, with that, everybody, I think I will go ahead and wrap up this episode. It's okay for all of you that are broke right now. If you are younger, again, I was there for many years. Relish in the fact that you're in your survival years and keep those deployed for when the money comes in. And you're going to do just fine managing the money that you have the power to control where you want it to go. So with that, again, it's okay to be broke at 29, but not at 59. At my age, you will get to my age one day, and you will look back and thank yourself for managing your money well. So thank you for joining me. If you like content like this, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Consider subscribing as well, and I will see you next time.